Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the experience and decision that shape who we have become. Today's guest is Alvern Bullard, a digital marketer and launch strategy with nearly 2 decades of experience in global tech company, Salesforce, like Dell and Salesforce. Today, she helps entrepreneurs build predictable and scalable revenue system. But what truly set her apart is her bold 1,000 rejection experience. Here she intentionally pushing rejection to prove that success is a number game. Yeah, it's really a pleasure and honor to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Alvan, take us back to your earlier journey. What was it like moving from our Caribbean to our island with no network?
Ooh, what was it like? Cold. So I was on my way to Europe to study nursing, and I met my husband on a plane coming over, and he invited me over. At the time, I wasn't aware of what Ireland was like or anything. I didn't look it up, obviously. Anyway, he invited me over, and the rest, as they say, is history. But like I said, cold compared to the Caribbean, cold.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, how did your 18 years in corporate sales and marketing shape your understanding of success?
Well, especially if you know anything about sales. Actually, my sales journey started back in 1995. I was doing house to house, door to door sales with a box of what we'd call it trinkets, going door to door selling these things for, like, I don't know, $20 or something like that, or $10. I can't even remember now what was the price, but it was the things that you'd get in your local dollar store,
Yeah.
little clocks and gadgets and stuff like that. And from that time, I then moved into here in Ireland into corporate sales. It taught me that perseverance, obviously, is one of the keys to success, because in sales, as you can probably imagine, it's not an easy journey. You get a lot of no's,
Yeah,
awful lot of no's. But I guess what keeps me going, what keeps the adrenaline rush pumping, is the fact that in the end, I'm going to help someone make their dreams come true, whether it be their business dreams, or because I was in consumer sales at one point as well, or their home dreams of getting the laptop. I was also very, very fascinated with technology. So my career in all of those things spans in telecom, software, and hardware, or IT sales. So for me, it was a way of gobbling up all of this information, technology, all of these things. And it was very rewarding, to be fair. So yes, I got a lot of no's, but perseverance wins in the end.
perseverance, and I think it's really lovely. And I think maybe we should define maybe we should define perseverance as a stubbornness with a purpose, because you keep showing up even if you've been rejected. You keep just showing up that this is another new day. I just need to show up anyway. Yeah, it's amazing. So, what were some of the toughest rejection you faced earlier in your?
Earlier in my career, whoa, can I remember? Honest Jew, I can't remember what any specific ones. But I guess I have to tell you, when I first started in Salesforce. So my career started in Dell. Then I went to a company called BT, which is telecoms, there for 4 years. And then when I started in Salesforce, one of the what do you call it, the regions that I covered was Scandinavia. So I did Finland, Denmark, and I also did the Netherlands as well as part of my career. So there was no truly English speaking countries, but these people obviously spoke English. So did Iceland, Finland, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, as when I started that journey, which is quite interesting, because here I am trying to explain a complicated solution to people whose native language isn't English. So I guess, specifically when you look at the Netherlands, specifically, they don't mince their words. They tell you things straight. So I guess there's no beating around the bush, like, oh, call me back tomorrow. It's just like, they're not interested, That's it. There's no two bones about it. So I guess those were kind of tough, learning all of these different cultures, and some of them don't speak English, so they would put me onto someone else who would speak English. It was quite interesting, quite challenging, but in the end, I just kept my head down and kept on going.
Wow, amazing. I think it's the fact that you're able to kind of face each and every one of them. You can't even remember the toughest. I'm just wondering what mindset would have had that make rejection very, very easier for you to swallow. Without thinking of it. So more like how did those experiences change the way you view rejection? Because I know there will definitely be a way that make you not to take that much to heart.
I guess, you know what, when I take all the pieces apart, so there is the role there's the company that I'm working for. There's the fact that I need to pay bills.
Mm.
There's a perks, because with the company there comes perks as well. I guess when you consider all the different elements, I think the fact that the company was well known, you got what do you call it, share of equity, whatever you call that. I can't remember the name they call it now, but you get a stake holding in the company. You got shares to work there. I think it was, I suppose a blessed experience. I was lucky, not lucky. Lucky is probably not the right word, but I know I was one of those who was chosen to work in this particular company, which was a company that a lot of people at the time, it wasn't a lot of people wanted to get in, but it was drawing a lot of interest at the time. So this is back in 2008. So back then, it wasn't as popular, but people were curious, wondering what's going on with this company, etc. But I think the fact that I was getting rejected, but in a company that had a bright future, you had all these promotion prospects that's happening. If it was a dead end job, then I think I would have probably looked at it very differently. But it wasn't a dead end job, so there's all these prospects of promotion, of doing better, of getting ahead in life and career and all of that. Apart from everything that's going on in my personal life, it was what actually helped me get over it. The fact that I was working for something that was worthwhile, something I believed in. Most importantly, I always say that if I'm working for a company and I don't believe in what I'm selling, it's something I just cannot do, no matter what way you want to spin it. But if I'm working and I absolutely believe in what I do, and I was really fascinated with the technology, and I just wanted to learn more, and I was just gobbling it up, and I just wanted to see, okay, if I can solve this particular customer's problem by some, custom design or whatever you want to call it, it would blow my mind. So just that combination kept me going in spite of the rejections.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean that you have actually more like receive a whole lot of rejection later. I think there's something you could teach us about rejection. What pattern do you notice among top performers when it comes to handling rejection?
They don't take it personally. It's really important. I mean, sometimes you can get into that mindset of, oh, the person didn't like me, because the way. One thing I really enjoyed about sales is building a rapport with my customers, getting to know their business. That is fascinating, all of that. And you build this relationship with them. So if you have that really good relationship, and in the end they say no, or they move on to a different company or whatever, that would actually, and if it is you're really into that relationship, you want that relationship to last and to obviously come to the end where it's, they buy the product and they turn around and they say no, then it can hit you really hard, because you've built this rapport, build this relationship with this end customer, and you know all about how many kids they have, if they're married, if they're single, what they do for fun, you get to know them really, in an intimate way, not necessarily as in a marriage, but really, really deep. So when it is they come and they turn around and they say no, it will hurt you more compared to someone who you barely know, that kind of a way, because it's a relationship, whether you like it or not. And you know what time they come into work, you know what time they go in the evening, you have their personal mobile phone, you just know a lot of them. So I think you have to detach yourself from the rejection, not take it personally. Otherwise, if you take it personally, it can really set you back a few weeks or months, because you keep harping on about it, you're getting nightmares about this, and you're internalizing this, But you have to realize it's not about you. It's actually not about you. It has to do with the fact that the person didn't like the product, or it was wrong timing, or it's not the right person, or, all of these different things that's going on. That's why it's important in a sales journey to figure out who the right person is, who the right contact is, if it's the right time, if they've got the funds and all that. And even if you do all of that, the person can still turn around and not make a decision, because, something can happen, like the war or whatever, something can happen. But the point is that you cannot take it personally as someone who is a top performer. You just can't. You have to detach yourself from that totally.
Amazing. I think this is really key, being that while you were just sharing, I just look back at some of the points when I actually go all out for jobs, being that I run industrial cleaning here where I am. And I think one that I took personally one time was the fact that I went to the site, used my own personal money, do a whole lot of hard laying, went to a whole lot of stuff, recommend a whole lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, I wasn't given the project. And the fact that it was still what I laid, and that was what the plan, that was what they used, and it was really personal. And I think what made it easier for me there was the fact that I have someone to just air the frustration to. And after that, it was easier to bear compared to just bottling it. Yeah, amazing. So you have gone through some deeply personal challenge. How did those experience shape your resilience and outlook on life?
If I go through a personal challenge, I think it's I mean, obviously it's not a customer this time, it's something personal, I literally have to take a step back. So in what I've learned over the years, that it's important. Say, for example, let's give a really good example. Something that is a personal challenge. Maybe a breakup in a relationship. That's probably really deep. And it's important over the years, what I've learned, to have other things that I enjoy. So, for example, one of the things I like to do is play the ukulele. I like to hang out, obviously, with friends. I like to go to the beach for a walk. I like to do cone skipping. I like to do hiking. I love cooking and baking and stuff like that. So when something like that happens, I need to go to a place that is solely me, because sometimes a breakup in a relationship may not be my fault. It may be the other person's fault. It may not be anybody's fault. It could be wrong timing, wrong whatever it is. But it's a really, really important to me, because when you hold a grudge or you hate someone or you anything like that, it has a really negative effect on your subconscious. You can't sleep, you can't eat, you're not enjoying things, you're thinking of, probably even something like self-harm, so it's really, really important to detach yourself from the situation and have a meeting with yourself, self-talk. Okay, am I a good person? Even though this has happened, am I still a good person? Am I good looking? Am I, you go through all of these check boxes. Can I survive? Is this the end of life as I know it? You keep going through these really, really deep personal questions, and once you get over on the other side, even if it's a loss, for example, I lost one of my sisters there 2 years ago, and you go through all of these deep emotional struggles in your head, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, why does this happen? All of these different questions. But it's really important to detach yourself from that situation, because it's a situation. Whether you like it or not, it's a situation, and it's separate from you. And you have to go through these questions, come out on the other side, and start doing the things that you enjoy. So I'd go and I would play music, I'd listen to music, I'd watch a movie, I would go for a walk, and we'll take months, sometimes it can take years, so we'll come, either grief or a relationship breakup. But the most important thing to remember, it's a situation and it's separate from you, and life goes on. Unfortunately, you can't see that when you're in it, you can't see it. When you're in the bottle, you can't see the label on the outside. So you have to find a way of coping mechanism. Obviously for everyone it's different, but for me that's what I do. I do the things that other things that I enjoy, and come out on the other side, so to speak.
Yeah, amazing. I think it's really lovely, and I think for me, I think it was when I read how to win friends and how to stop worrying and start living my daily energy. That was what helped me to actually more like just being able to analyze what it is and detach it from who I am, especially, so that I wouldn't get to kind of I'll start playing the blaming game, and a whole lot of stuff. Just hearing your just speak volumes. Amazing. So how do emotion like fear and self-doubt interfere with progress?
Yes. Oh my goodness, that is a big one. And it still happens, no matter how successful you become. No matter, fortunately, it never happens, because you always have this nasty habit of comparing yourself with others. Well, I've achieved this and this, but look at me, look at that other person over there. Oh, I have mercy. So unfortunately, it can. That's why it's important when you achieve a milestone or even a task to go and whatever the big task or small task, to go and celebrate, because you spend time savoring that achievement, and always have obviously another goal waiting to achieve, because I remember years ago I went to a conference and I met this young lady. That's before I had any kind of success in the online world, and she made $17,000 in a single month, and then she got depressed. And I'm looking at her and thinking, like, why? I don't get it. She didn't have another goal. After she achieved that goal, she wanted to achieve it, and she achieved that goal, and then she didn't have another goal to achieve, and she started to compare herself with others. And I'm thinking, like, Lord have mercy. I would never please don't let me be like that, because it's just it's terrible as a human to be doing things like that. You achieve it and then you go into this depressive state, and there's no real reason. Nobody died, she didn't lose a relationship, nothing like that. It's just the fact that she did it, and then when she got there, she didn't realize it was going to be the way it was.
And I think they just speak with
it's sad.
I think they just speak with them sometimes, because some persons might see the destination as the goal other than the processes. And being that when you actually get to peg it that very way, you can go through a tons of emotions while going through the process without really enjoying it. Looking forward to the destination, not knowing that destination is just an hour and 2 minutes, you would have gone, seen the destination, and nothing feel like a race anymore. Compared to enjoying the process, which lasts longer. Yeah, it's really more like getting to reframe your mind. And yeah, enjoy the process. That actually brought the success.
It reminds me of Christmas Day. Every year, people make this
Yeah,
big fuss and they paint and they put up curtains and they bake, and then the day comes and it's over,
yeah,
and then people start going to this depressive
yeah. And
state.
they're looking at Mondays again and say, "Oops, I have to go to work again." Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah,
Wow.
amazing. Also, why do you think so many people quit too early when pursuing their goals?
That is a very good question. It's one of the reasons why I created the 10,000 rejections journey, because unfortunately, I think it's the 12 week year where they say most people underestimate what they can do
Mm,
in a year and overestimate what they can do in 5 years, because we spend a lot of time procrastinating. Okay, I have to get this done in 12 months. Something that we can do in 12 weeks, we can do this in 12 months. And we spend a lot of time in the first 9 months procrastinating, and we have 3 months left, and then we're scrambling
yeah,
to get it done. And it's the same way where people give up because they think, oh, well, I these are the steps, like we
yeah,
outline the steps. In order to get to that goal, these are the steps. And they come up against hurdles to achieve the goal, and that they weren't expecting, and they give up. And that's why I created the 10,000 rejection journey, because I think, okay, I'm going to exaggerate how much I'm going to need to get to the end goal. So when I get to, for example, 1,000 rejections, I cannot look back and say, well, I've done so
yeah,
much and I haven't achieved it. No, because my goal isn't 1,000 rejections, it's 10,000. So if I get it in 5,000, that's great. If I get it in 1,000, that's great. But we really underestimate a lot what it is we can get done, or what it is it takes to get things done, and therefore we give up before we get to that goal. And unfortunately, it's a human thing, and that's why it's important to understand, well, as much as possible, what are the small tasks
yeah.
needed to achieve whatever the bigger goal, and cater for obstacles, whatever those obstacles are.
Yeah, amazing. And I think this is really lovely, especially when you make reference. So, yeah, people underestimate or what they could do in a year and overestimate what they could do in 5 years. And it really is big volume owing to the fact that sometimes they don't break their goals to see what little step can I actually more like take towards achieving the goal step by step, other than looking at a big chunk and saying, in 5 years I'll get to achieve it without really doing anything in the first and second year. Yeah, it's really a lot. So looking back, what experience most shaped the person and profession you actually become today?
I One of the things I enjoy doing is travel.
Mm,
I really, really enjoy traveling. And for me, when I travel, it's like a window into a different world, culture, getting to understand how people operate, as well as, just experiencing life in a different way. That, and there's a book I read called The Little Book of Big Thinking,
mm,
where you take stuff that you learn in one vertical or industry and apply
so
it
that
to a
industry.
different one. That helped me a lot, because even when I was doing my first degree, which was in the sciences in biology, I wanted to do computers as well. And now I have a nice blend of both the sciences and business and the technology together. And I would take things that I learned from that and apply it
Mm,
into what I'm doing currently in the marketing and business sphere. And to me, that is really so. I've been to over 30 countries.
ouch,
Been to obviously South America, Southeast Asia, obviously Europe,
ouch.
North America. I haven't, and one of my most interesting experiences actually is many, many years ago. I was still in college, and we went to Guyana. At the time, I was the what do you call it, the sponsor of the Natural Sciences Association. And one of the things we wanted to do was take a trip, and we went to Guyana, and we stayed in the army
Yeah,
barracks, I suppose. And all of the transport, if you've ever been to Guyana, the rivers look like seas. They're huge, massive. And all of the transport was in this big army truck, and we were on the back of the truck. And at one point, we had to cross this massive river. They call it a river, but it looks like a sea. You couldn't see anything on the other side. And the truck there was no, there's no road
yeah,
to cross it. And the truck was placed on a barge, and the barge was pulled across the river on the other side, and the truck drove off. I mean, that blew my mind and opened up my thinking like, what is possible. Because when you see the impossible
Yeah.
happen. Like, how can a truck cross a river without a bridge? And I'm talking about like think of how big an army truck is,
Yeah.
how massive this thing is, and there's all these people in the back of it as well, and the wheels, and you're thinking like, how on earth that truck is going to float and go across the river? Like, impossible on this bar, on this wooden thing. We were screaming our heads off.
Yeah.
But I got on the other side, and it really opened up my mind and my thinking of, okay, if that can happen, then what else?
Yeah. Amazing.
What else is possible?
Amazing. I think just seeing the impossible getting to play out, that actually more like just, within your brain, you're like, oh, that means it's we have to see things differently. And the fact that sometimes the impossibility is just in our mind. And amazing. So lastly, what is the biggest mistake entrepreneur make when trying to generate consistent revenue?
Is there one? Okay, consistent is a word here. So one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when trying to generate consistent revenue is the fact that actually there are two things they need to be doing. Number one, they need to have a big enough product suite. So you might have only one product in your suite, and you keep trying to sell that one product. But if you have a suite of products, because everyone is different, as you can imagine, and everyone is at different stages of their journey. So say, for example, you're selling, let me try to think of something that you're selling, maybe social media templates, for argument's sake. And in order to expand that, you may want to also sell social media services, like actual done for you services. You might also want to sell some sort of adjacent things, like I said, social media templates, like maybe you sell only for Instagram and Facebook, and then you want to expand to do LinkedIn and Twitter and all of the others as well. Maybe you want to sell an app or a solution that actually helps them with posting automatically. There's all sort of things that you can do that that you can sell that is adjacent to that will actually expand the amount of money you can make. But the most important thing is getting the infrastructure in the back end right. Because, for example, with two examples. So one of the clients I started working with 4 years ago, still work with her at the moment. And when I met her, she was doing at least $14,000 a month.
Oh.
She had about one product or two products at a time. Then over the years, I quadrupled her business. So she grew from 14,000 a month to well over 60, then to 100,000. And what we did is we expanded her product range, her product suites, but we also looked after the infrastructure, the things in the back end. So when the onboarding experience, how the funnels work, all the emails, all of the things, the technical and automation things that happen in the back end, once that is done like really, really tight, then things can scale massively to get consistent revenue month after month after month. The other example then is another company, another business I was working with. Again, I can't mention who they are, but they were a partnership. And they came to me, they were probably doing about 500 a month at the time, and then obviously over time we increased their product suite and built a really tight back end, and now they're booked out 6 weeks in advance because they fixed all of those things. So it's a matter of taking a 10,000 foot view and then going and then fixing that streamline from the time someone sees their ad all the way through to completion. And having the actual products and services or product suite available. Because some people think we need one product. One product is never going to be enough because you're going to meet people who have different needs, customers who have different needs for your business.
Yeah, amazing. I think this is really lovely. Having more like an adjacent product. And that very well, you don't have to close too many deals, being that just one client that you saw a particular product. So we definitely need the adjacent product, and on and on and on. And the trust is already built. Yeah, and it's really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, for my audience who would love to connect with you, to actually help them out to create maybe adjacent product, or to listen on to you, or to connect with you, how can they reach out to you, and where is the best platform?
Okay, so one of the best ways to find me is on my website, popcornleadgen.com. I actually have at the moment a free audit available. So popcornleadgen.com/gap, where you can actually go in and do an assessment on your offers to make sure that they convert well. Just popcornleadgen.com/gap, and you'll be able to go and download that PDF and get it, do a self-assessment on your offers to make sure that they are actually no-brainer offers and that they will work with your audience.
Which amazing. I think I will be the first to jump on this offer. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Alvern. Your perspective, challenge.
You're very welcome.
One of the biggest fear most people actually carry, which is rejection. And your work just reminded us that success isn't about avoiding. It's not about avoiding the no's, but about building the capacity to hear enough time until the right yes. And it's really amazing, especially in this age and time where Yeah, keep showing up until the person does not have any energy to say no, but now it's not becoming yes. It's really amazing. It's a pleasure and honor having you on the show.
It's a pleasure meeting you and pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.